It's just over £190 a quarter, so that kind of equates to about 800 quid a year, just under 800 quid a year, so that's fine. But the ground rent is just under £15,000 a year. So you're basically buying...
But then that tells me that they're probably going to pass along as much of unpaid ground rent.
So I believe the current seller has put this in to attract the freeholder to buy it. So I think it's going to sell. I think it's going to sell for more than all of you said.
I think it's a genius guide price, but I think if the freeholder gives up pretty much what is over 100 grand's worth of income. So welcome back to another episode of Property Auction Hunters with your guests, Omar, Jay, special guest Oliver Adams, PR and myself, Safe Dersey. So today I'm actually presenting two different lots, two totally different lots. One lot for £1 guide price up in Shipley in West Yorkshire, and another lot which is a development opportunity in Chertsey in Surrey. So two totally different lots. Tell us what you think of these lots. I hope you enjoy the episodes. Tune straight in. So today we have the first lot, which is at Auction House West Yorkshire lot. It's £1 guide price, okay? So again, that's a bit of a hook, it's a bit of a marketing play, and there's a reason for that, which I'll come on to. But basically this is a commercial property with land in Shipley, so Otley Road in Shipley, West Yorkshire. It's an interesting lot. So the first thing is it clearly has no internal images whatsoever. It clearly looks like it's been boarded up. Maybe it's been broken into. I don't think it's going to be pretty inside. I think it's going to need a lot of work inside. So it's actually on a 75-year lease, and that's from 1966. So effectively what you're buying into is a 7-year lease, if you look at it. But the interesting thing is it's got quite a high ground rent. Service charges is not too bad. It's just over £190 a quarter. So that kind of equates to about 800 quid a year, just under 800 quid a year. So that's fine. But the ground rent is just under £15,000 a year. So you're basically buying a liability, okay? So you're basically paying around about £15,500 a year for the privilege of owning something that needs a full refurbishment that in 7 years' time you might have to hand back, with it being a commercial property and land. So it's an interesting one. I think the £1 guide brings this into play massively. I think if this was anywhere around £30,000 plus, I don't think it will ever go sold at that price. But I think at a £1 guide, people will not be looking at things from a due diligence point of view because it brings in a very naive market at that kind of level, as we're probably all aware. I think this is going to be absolutely front-loaded in terms of fees on the special conditions, way more than what I think it will actually sell for. I think the fees will basically be the profit for them. But I think if I was holding on to a liability like this, I think this is a great way to dispose of it. Auction, £1 guide price, you attract loads of people, good auction to be selling it in Auction House West Yorkshire because it's right in that patch as well. And as a trader, we know Yorkshire's quite a popular place to basically sell properties at the minute. So do I think this is going to sell? Absolutely, it will sell. Do I think it's realistically going to go over anywhere £10,000? I don't. I think it's going to be below £10,000, maybe more towards £6,000 potentially. I really don't know who would buy something like this, especially given the 7-year lease left and the amount of work required to even get it to some kind of standard. But I think you might be attracting people that, I don't know, it might be builders that need to store things there, for example, that could maybe do a very light job and have 7 years of a storage space for basically under 6K plus fees. But I think it's a very, very specific market that you're targeting with this. So it might even be a naive buyer that will buy it and then be stuck with it and be left holding the baby. That's a great thumbnail, holding a baby with £1. Or it might actually be someone that's going to utilise it like a local builder. Oliver, what do you think?
Sell.
Yeah.
300 quid.
Okay.
I think it will be, unless there is that niche buyer for it who has got some local knowledge, some value, it's got some value to them locally. Of course, you can't really put a price on that if it's what you want and you've got a personal use for it. I think it will be speculative. It's a very speculative lot. I think it will sell to a speculative bidder or trader. I think it's a couple of hundred quid, 300 quid. I don't like it. Wouldn't touch it myself.
Absolutely.
I think it's just a pile of trouble.
I
A bag of lemons.
I think I know what Jay's going to say. I think he's going to steal my thunder here, but let's see.
There is a chance. There is a chance. Like the things that worry me aren't the costs that you can see; it's the costs that you can't see. So the building is big enough to attract business rates. And depending on the quality of the seller, because it doesn't say who the seller is, that maybe not even in the special conditions. But I imagine if the special conditions are front loaded, that would tell me that this is already on a trade, which is not impossible, not uncommon. But then that tells me that they're probably going to pass along as much of unpaid business rates as they can possibly manage.
Unpaid ground rent, maybe.
Unpaid ground rent. I mean, there's definitely more than meets the eye on something like this. I've looked at stuff like this before, and I thought if I can be bothered with the aggravation value of it, what you would try and do is you try and buy the freehold, because that resolves the issue on something like this. And that would be the play. That would be what I would do if I was to pick this up. I'd try and buy the freehold, but I wouldn't want to pay a penny more than £5,000, and that's on the assumption. I think £5,000 would be the max that I would pay. I think that someone would pay more. I think someone wouldn't be paying attention to all of these little intricacies, nuances. I think it will go for about £9,000.
Just for context as well, the freeholders are aggressive London-based freeholders.
So can we
in which case, I would rewind.
You're not getting
with that information in place, I wouldn't buy it at all. But I still think that someone would go up to £9,000 in auction terms and pick it up.
So can we just establish what you said? So you said this is going to sell
I said it will sell
at
anything around £6,000. I thought
300 quid,
300 quid.
and 9,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't like it.
Okay. So I'm looking at this differently.
Here we go.
Theme here
we
it?
go.
It's the educated
controversial mimic strikes again.
Yes.
There we go.
Who does this have value to? Who has the most value to buy this?
No,
the freeholder. The freeholder has value to buy this. Yeah, they've got to wait 7 years now before they can get this site back.
But does the freeholder have value?
Why?
Because they're getting £14,500 as a liability.
Potentially, if they're getting it, if it's being paid. But the freeholder can buy this now and surrender the lease. They've got their site back and they've got to wait 7 years for it.
Yeah.
So I believe the current seller has put this in to attract the freeholder to buy it. So I think it's going to sell. I think it's going to sell for more than all of you said. I think this will sell for about 30 grand.
Wow.
So you think that the freeholder is going to pay £30,000, 2 years worth of ground rent, not even mentioning the service charge, just to steal it back early. Back. So do you think the reason that they would be doing that would be for resi conversion?
Yeah, something. Yeah,
so?
Shipley's not the highest value area, just bear that in mind. Yeah. And also just think about how much antisocial. So as a freeholder...
Okay, let me change my...
let me bring the context in. So as a freeholder, you are not liable from probably an insurance point of view.
Yeah.
All right, it's got antisocial behaviour.
Yes.
You're getting £14,500 from it. Now, whether you're getting that or whether that's a liability that you're going to send a debt collector to get for you, doesn't really matter, but you've basically got that. And you're also getting a service charge, which, let's be honest, no services are happening in that building.
So this is
there's another dimension.
221 square meters. So it's not resi conversion class.
Not high value enough for a resi conversion, in my opinion, unless it's social. But
but there is potentially that thought process, isn't there, that the freeholder may want to get their asset back and do something with it. So
who are going to be the underbidders to take it to £29,950?
You said you liked it, didn't you? Or...
he said £300, not £30.
Oh, I know. The person selling it bidding online against the freeholder. There you go.
Big gamble. 50-50 offer.
It's a very difficult one, but I also think that freeholders will be the ones interested in it. It's because...
Well done, Peter.
And one of the reasons is this is a liability. 7 years of 14k ground rents, it's 100k. Then another 90k, probably 100k to refurbish this, and then in 7 years' time, you don't even have the guarantee that this is going to stay with you. So there's no way that anyone is buying this. And to be honest, I don't think this £1 grand price is a marketing trick, because there's literally no value to this building.
I think it's a genius guide price, but I think if the freeholder gives up pretty much what is over 100 grand's worth of income, I think the whole freehold of that building won't even be worth 100 grand, in my opinion.
So let me give you a kind of a thing to consider. Let's say you're the seller of this property and you want to get rid of that liability of 15k, right? So what would you do? You would put it in the auction
with a pound guide price.
Let someone, whoever, even if it's like a shell company, like let's say you just set up a new company called XYZ Limited. That company, even if you're the seller, you set up this company. That company buys this property, and then that liability then stays with this company that has no assets, no nothing. You just dissolve yourself of responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think this could be like a way of just getting rid of liability for no money, and then freeholder has they will get zero rent.
My feeling on this is, apart from the ground rent and service charge, I don't believe that the freeholders find any value in this asset. So buying it and buying the freehold off them at probably some stupid premium is what someone local is going to do. Yeah. And I think that's where the value is. And I think £9,000 to someone who's going to punt that locally is probably the right kind of money.
And Omar just pulled out this satellite picture, and it looks like this site is on the edge of like some massive development of some sort.
Perfect.
And possibly someone developing whatever it could be interested in it.
Yeah.
So do you want to change your prices now? You know that information, chaps,
absolutely
or are you
not.
sticking with you?
I think, do you know what? I think if you removed all the ground rent, you moved all the service charge, you just had a 7-year lease. Yeah. I think as a trader, I would buy that in anywhere sort of under 2k and trade it out, because you don't have the liability. But the liability is what puts a lot of traders from buying something like this. It just puts them off. So anyway, tell us what you think, because this is all about you guys as well and trying to understand what your mindset would be. Would any of you buy this at all? Would you pay £1? Would you pay 100 grand? Who knows? Let's see.
I'm going to say this is going to sell £400.
For £100?
Yes.
100, just to be clear.
100, yes.
Okay, not 400, because you're getting closer to the 300. So tell us what you think, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing the results of this auction. And when is the results going to be out on this one?
This auction date is the 7th of February.
So not far on. Okay, cool. So welcome back with another lot. So this is 40 Guildford Street in Chertsey. So lovely part of the world, Surrey again. And it's a commercial property with 2 flats above that have been sold off on long leases. So you're getting £500 a year on ground rent. So not really much value in that. But where I see the value is on the ground floor, and also you've got some outbuildings and kind of workshop at the back, which has planning permission for 2 one-bed flats. So I think it's a great area. I think it's a good looking parade of shops. And I also think it's got some real good curb appeal, that whole sort of old style Victorian building. I really like them. I think now more than ever, there's a lot of people wanting to do developments where you retain either a bit of commercial at the front, lease that out, and you've got some resi at the back, plus you've got some freehold ground rents. But I think as a freehold asset, it's a nice asset to buy. I feel like the guide price is really, really good. That's a really good guide price to attract enough people. And as we're aware as well, there's a lot of developers that are looking to get into this kind of ticket size as well, where it's relatively low risk. It's got planning in place already. It's pretty much ready to go. So it's just a really good, appealing lot to a developer or a would-be new developer, plus potentially someone that wants to hold those 2 one-bed flats at the back end of it as well. So I think it's got good value. I think the fact that the commercial shop is empty is also quite a good bonus for a developer, because they could put the tenant in there of their liking and wish, and also maybe rejig things around if they wanted to make that commercial space slightly smaller. But yeah, nice part of the world, good looking lot, good auction to be selling it in as well, a network auction. So I think personally it's going to sell. I think it might sell circa 320 personally. Oliver?
I like it. Nice mixed use development, multiple income stream potential. If you didn't want to hold the whole asset after you've developed the site, you could sell some part of it off. You could sell the shop off. You could title split it. Nice lot. Sell price 270.
Job done. Okay.
I mean, I like this. This is the kind of stuff that we like to look at. I think it's being sold in an ineffective manner. I mean, auction is a great way to sell. Network auctions are great. We love the guys at Network Auctions, but this looks like two different buyers to me. Or the ideal market would be two different buyers. I think you'll have a commercial SaaS person, you'll find a tenant on the front unit, have the freehold sold off, blah, blah, blah. Then you'd have the development angle at the back. I mean, Chertsy's good for us. One of the guys in the Buyers Club did an underwrite on a property in Chertsey. I think they netted like 50 grand off of that, which was mind-blowing. So we know this area is good. We know the asset is good. The asset class is good. The opportunity is good. Should it have been split into two units to get the best value? Personally, I think so. But I think combined, I think this has got it's got a 3 on it. And I think I would go up to 300 on something like this. And I think very easily a retail style buyer who's got a bit of a hard fix for wanting to do a commercial to residential conversion and wants to retain this, that and the other and sees the elements that they like, I think they've got 330 in the back of their minds quite easily for something like this. But I think 300 is where my money would be, 330 for retail. I think a trick has been missed. I'm sure the guys at Network, Toby especially, would have suggested maybe the split, but some sellers don't like the risk of one bit selling and being stuck with the other bit.
But it opens up value for someone to buy it, get it tenanted, that commercial, sell that bit off, and just retain the 2 flats at the back if they wanted to.
Yeah, you could do that.
There's a value opportunity.
It's asset management of what's there, isn't
and
it?
if you've got that commercial to the front and it's providing income, that income could be offsetting your development finance, or if you sell it and you can pay down a big chunk. There's a lot to be thinking about in that respect, but I mean, as from a trader point of view, if I was buying this off market, if this came to us through one of our channels, we would be putting this into probably maybe even 2 different auctioneers or 2 different times of the year, and we would exit both points. And I think maybe, the motivations of the seller is what's prevented the auctioneers from being able to put that kind of effective sell route in place for them. But still, I think it will sell. 330 for retail money, 300 of my hard-earned bucks, and I think it's a deal to be done.
Cool. Omar?
It's great when you get to go second to last and last, isn't it, Theo? You get to listen to these intelligent people. I think every point that's been made is valid. I think it's a good auctioneer, but it's positioned incorrectly, as you said. You've got vacant commercial, so who wants that? Someone who's going to trade a business there, someone who's going to buy it and tenant it. So there's a kind of a, where is that buyer for the commercial bit at the front? There's no tenant in there. But good area, good affluent area. The likelihood is that you will tenant that shop at the right money. At which point you're adding value. At which point, if you wanted to move this on, a commercial auctioneer would suit a tenanted property for the types of buyers that would look at that property. And then you've got at the back a small scale property development opportunity for someone, but no parking. And it is positioned at the moment as the demolition and rebuild of 2 one-bedroom flats. So there is substantial cost in doing that type of development, and there is also potential saleability issues, not always, but with having no parking and being at the rear of shops. So it's interesting, but perhaps it will sell well. I would love to have picked up an opportunity like this prior to it going into the auction, because I just think this is perfect. I would have asset managed this. Got a good tenant in on an FRI lease in the shop, title split it, put a little CGI to show what that back rear development would look like, and popped it into 2 appropriate auctions, a Curtus perhaps for the commercial, Allsop commercial maybe. If you're listening and you want to sponsor this show, one of you lot, get in touch. And then for the resi element, something that's going to attract someone who wants to, as you said, get stuck into that type of small scale.
Savills?
Possibly Savills or maybe one other. But yeah, I think there's a good opportunity here, and I just think it would have been maybe positioned better in 2 auctions and having done a little bit of work. But like you said, perhaps the seller didn't want to do that, and so I do think it will sell still. What will it sell for? I mean, it's guided pretty well. And what's the plot worth at the back? If I try and break it down, it's got to be worth 100 grand, 150 grand. We're planning for a little 2 one-bed flats like that, maybe for someone to pick it up. The shop, I have no idea what it's going to rent for, but assuming you can get 15 grand for a little 700 odd square foot shop, that's got to be worth nearly 200 grand, isn't it? So perhaps it's not guided low enough, maybe. I reckon this will sell just over guide, 250, something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pierre.
Well,
I've stolen your thunder.
You went through the exact process that I would go through, but actually, I think you guys are all over optimistic on this lot. I think it's again, it's another liability because you have a vacant commercial shop, and you need to like find someone for it. It's going to be much easier to find someone for it. I would say 15k for that commercial, not a problem. I would say you need to value it at about 175 or 150 because you need to find the tenant. It takes time, it takes effort. You need to be rewarded for this. So I'd say 150 for the commercial. There's some value in the ground rent, not much, but some value. Income. Yeah, so 10k, 160, and then the plot at the back, I would say 100K. Maybe 100k. The two flats going to be worth 200k each, 200k to build, 100k profit, 100k more or less. So I would say 260 maximum value, and someone's going to pay 252 for it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear both of you, but I also think that methodical thinking is not what people do when they're buying properties like these through auction, especially the newer developers coming into experienced developers will look at it, break it down. But I actually think, because it's got planning, I think that's going to basically attract that naive style of buyer or new developer. And obviously, look, even if they don't make money on it, they learn from it and they move on. So, you've got to look at it from that perspective. So definitely want to be a seller of something like that. Wouldn't want to be a buyer of something like that personally.
And you want to sell it as two separate bits, wouldn't you? You want to get the right buyers for the right assets.
Yeah. To be fair to the auctioneer, I don't think it's the auctioneer. I think it might be the buyer that basically had led them to do that.
But that gives you the advantage in buying that now as the buyer, doesn't it? In that you're all of the opinion that it will underperform slightly because it's two different asset classes, two different types of buyer. Gives you an opportunity, gives you an angle to buy it for less competition, then add the value, then split it and sell it to the right audience.
And just recently as well, I've been obviously tracking a lot of what traders have been doing. And traders are buying stuff in low value areas where they're buying like parade of shops, for example, or buying one large shop and just splitting it up and then putting it into lots of different auctions all the time. And it's trading quite well, and they're making money from title splitting large commercial shops into smaller shops, even though technically speaking, they still need to do a refurbishment to start putting doors in each different shop. So I do think the breakup value is going to be much higher than selling it as it is. But yeah, tell us what you think. Tell us what you think this will sell for. Is anyone bidding on this as well? Because I know this is the kind of lots that a lot of our viewers will be looking to buy. So yeah, tell us if you're bidding on it. If you are bidding on it, tell us if you want it and what you'd pay for it as well.